Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're taking a deeper dive into the Sorcery Pack, exploring what we can build with some of these magical new pieces. Especially what happens if you take the classic wishing tree from the original game and mix it with the Sorcery Pack. That's exactly what we're going to find out today. And keep watching the video, because I'm doing a game giveaway, a DLC giveaway on the Sorcery Pack. So if you don't have it yet, stay to the end of the video to see how you can win a Sorcery Pack giveaway. For this episode, we're heading back into the fantasy forest of Unworldly Realms. And we're creating a brand new plaza, the Elderbark. It's basically a massive ancient tree turned into a shop counter with wide canopy that shades the whole plaza, surrounded by stonework, ivy, and enchanted medieval storefronts carved right into the walls, giving it that old village fantasy vibe. Alright, so first up we're starting with the shop build. I'm putting in a drink shop, a pip shot stand, and jumping straight into some of the new Sorcery Pack pieces. I'm using this really nice wall set from the pack and combining it with some lime plaster walls to get that worn, layered fantasy look. Basically, I'm mixing and matching a lot of different pieces here, but keep the main focus on the Sorcery Pack as much as possible. I've skipped a few parts of the recording to keep things moving, but here's the gist. I placed down a bunch of these massive tree trunks branches from the Sorcery Pack, then mixed them with other wood pieces from the game to create a base structure and to get an overview of what I have to work with. Off to the side, I got a little collection of all the wood and branch pieces I might use, just so I can visualize everything better before I commit to the design. As always, I'm starting with the footprint, layering down the front of the build and getting the core shape figured out. These Sorcery Pack branch pieces caught my attention right away. I really wanted to do something unique with them because there's definitely more potential here than just set dressing. I've always loved building tree houses and those whimsical fantasy structures where nature and architecture sort of merge together. That's exactly the vibe I wanted here. So I'm using the branches almost like a roof system, and then combining them with the Viking rocks and a few decals. The decals are honestly a super easy way to cover seams or filler spots without spending forever on custom rock work. And they give the build this really natural, weathered look. It's a bit of a back and forth process. Lots of tweaking and layering. I'm using that 1 meter thin wooden support plank again, my absolute favorite piece in the game for custom detailing. You'll see me using it a lot for supports, trims, and framing. Underneath the counter, I added a small wooden support detail and then blended it with foliage. That flower bed piece works perfectly to bring in a bit of overgrowth and tie the fantasy rune vibe perfectly together. The main goal here is to shape the shop fronts first before going into the heavy detailing, and yes, as I mentioned earlier, stay tuned for the giveaway. I'll tell you more about that toward the end of the video. Now halfway through the facade, I start mixing in the wishing tree with the spooky tree from the fairy tale set. I wanted to see if I could use the Sorcery Pack's large bark and branch pieces to create my own custom roots. Because honestly, we're still missing those really twisted, gnarly roots we had back in Planet Coaster 1. I used the tree giant branch piece to wrap around the wishing tree so everything feels like it's connected. Natural structure, like it all grew together over time. It adds a lot of depth and character to the whole build. A lot of that part took forever, so I skipped through most of it, but you can get the idea. It's all about experimenting with how these branches layer and flow. After that, I start shaping the other side of the facade, making it look like another small shop, or at least giving that illusion. Not every stall here is functional, but I wanted it to feel like a full marketplace tucked beneath the tree. Down below, we move to the little fake shop counter area. I scaled down some of the bark pieces to create sort of an arch and used decals and foliage to blend everything naturally into the stonework. And I know some of you have asked for a foliage and nature tutorial. Don't worry, I've got that coming. I'll also share a few smaller tips in this video as we go. But one thing to always remember when building fantasy is that you can go in many directions. It doesn't always have to be realistic. If you're going for something that feels immersive and grounded, like Disney or Universal, that's where the next part comes in. We'll start adding surroundings and integrated scenery to enclose this whole area, making it feel like a real themed plaza. Alright, so moving on, I'm using the tree giant bark piece again here to close off this side of the build. This section is also turning into a small show themed area that ties into the storytelling of the Elderbark itself. A story of nature slowly taking over. You can really feel it through all the vines, the grass and foliage wrapping around the structure. That natural overgrowth is one of the major themes I wanted to highlight here, to make the tree feel ancient, worn and alive. As I'm working through the detailing, I'm layering in more branches that push out from little gaps between the wood beams and tree trunks. It adds that extra bit of depth and makes the whole thing feel more organic, as if the forest is literally reclaiming it. I also add the orb light from the Sorcery Pack, which adds a nice subtle glow to the front. It's one of those tiny details that really brings a bit of magic and charm to the build, especially once it's lit up at night. Now I'm making sure to detail every side of the tree. No matter which angle you view it from, there should always be something to look at. And because I'm going for a more realistic approach this time, I added a small back door for the staff. It's a nice little detail that makes sense within the story, the idea being that staff could walk in and out of this store to access the shop counter inside the tree. I used a mix of Sorcery Pack wooden pillars and small decorative trims to frame the door, keeping everything stylistically consistent with the rest of the build. Once that was done, the main structure around the tree felt complete. After that, I went back and finished twisting the bark pieces around the base and sides of the tree. That part was extremely tedious. Definitely not something I want to redo anytime soon. So Frontier, if you're watching, please give us some proper twisty vine pieces in a future DLC. With all sides now detailed, I move into the finishing touches. I added a few fabric drapes to cozy up the space and then decorated the wishing tree with glowing gems for some extra color. The light blobs on the tree aren't flexi-color, so this was a great way to introduce a bit more contrast and sparkle without breaking the style too much. Inside the counter area, I filled out the back section a bit, more so it didn't just look like a big empty stump. It really adds that neat cozy feeling to the build when viewed from any angle. Originally, I planned to use invisible path for this section, but after looking at it for a while, cobblestone just felt right. And now that the lighting and final touches are in place, we're heading into the fun part, taking this whole build into the park and working on the surrounding environment. So let's move into the surroundings and transition area. If you remember my transition build from Twisted Hamlet into Unworldly Realms a few months back, I'm actually reusing a bit of that concept here. I took one of those small wall sections I made, duplicated it and started wrapping it around the Elderbark Plaza to give everything a more enclosed, cohesive feel. The main goal here is to build some facades that visually connect backstage from Twisted Hamlet into Elderbark area. These aren't going to be functional buildings, they're purely scenery to make the space feel full and alive. I'm using the Viking pieces again to create these built-in fantasy stone structures which blend nicely into the theme. They really help the area feel like an ancient part of the forest that's been adapted into a small settlement. Story-wise, I imagine this place as the House of the Guardians, a kind of mid-town that surrounds and protects the Elderbark tree. Adding that little bit of lore makes the whole area feel more meaningful. To bring it all together, I start adding shop facades around the edges, like a ring of small old buildings surrounding the tree. They aren't specific signs or names for these, they just exist to enhance the immersion and storytelling. The idea is that the plaza feels like a quiet little corner of the realm where travelers come to rest, eat, or trade beneath the ancient tree. When it comes to theming, I love mixing fantasy and Viking elements. The textures and pieces complement each other so well. That carved wood, the rough stone, it all helps create a believable fantasy world. Now moving into the realism aspect, I start adding the resort string lights across the plaza and the tree. I thought it would be really nice to create that cozy open air atmosphere you see in real theme parks where guests can sit under the night sky, grab food or drinks, or just enjoy the view. You see setups like this in Disney Springs or Epcot, these open plazas with no coverage, just light strings across above. Of course, when it rains or storms, those areas aren't ideal, but they add such a warm, inviting atmosphere that it's totally worth including. The light gives the space a lift in charm, like this is a place people actually spend time in. I also added benches around the plaza and start working on a little corner build that gives me some temple vibes. For that, I went back to using the Viking wall decorations and the Sorcery Pack pillars. I really wanted this section to feel like everything was built using the same texture language, the same rock, the same weathering, so it feels ununified with the Elderbark itself. I also used one of the stucco doors to break up the stonework and make it feel like there might be something hidden behind those walls. And yes, I have a lot of tutorial style videos coming up soon, including one focused entirely on how to do good lighting in Planet Coaster 2, but I'm already using some of those techniques here. The corner temple area isn't too complex, it's more of a background structure, a piece of visual noise that helps fuse the entire area together. It also gives me a place to attach the string lights so they can hang realistically over the path, swaying slightly like they would in real life. After that, I start adding flower beds, trees, bushes to fill out the space. It's all about layering color and texture to make the plaza feel lush and alive. For lighting, I used modern spotlights, hitting them carefully under the ground and behind props to illuminate the tree roots and walls. I added some purple lighting to bring out that mystical, mysterious vibe and mixed in some subtle greens for the contrast. I know it's not exactly realistic to put lights under the path, but hey, this is Planet Coaster. Sometimes you have to cheat a little to make the scene look right. At night, when everything lights up, the greens, the purples, the warm bulbs hanging across the plaza, it really transforms into something special. It feels alive, magical, and believable all at once. So after I finished up the lighting, I went back to the plaza one last time to add a few final touches before wrapping up today's episode. I wanted to build something that felt different, something that would sit naturally within the stone facades we created earlier. And that's when I came up with this fun idea for the Rune Relic storefront. It's completely static, just a scenery build, but it ties everything together so beautifully. I started mixing a few base game pieces with the Sorcery Pack assets and ended up with a really charming little shop. I love how the decorative clouds worked as rune symbols for the sign. They give it this mysterious, magical vibe. From there, it was all about finishing touches, more flower beds, clutter, bottle lamps, and smaller props from the Sorcery Pack to bring everything to life. I wanted guests to be able to walk around the plaza, stop at the counters, and feel like they've stepped into a living fantasy market. This build has honestly been one of my favorites so far. I wasn't planning to add Rune Relic at all, it just happened while I was in the creative groove, and sometimes those are the best builds. It's a perfect little addition to the Elderbark Plaza and to Unworldly Realm as a whole. Now don't worry, this area isn't completely finished yet. In a future episode, I'll be bringing in a few friends from the community to help add more structures and finishing details around the plaza. But for today, we've got a beautiful finished result, a magical new space under the Elderbark tree. Alright, now let's talk about the Sorcery Pack giveaway. If you don't have the pack yet, this is your chance to grab it for free. Here's how you can enter. Comment down below and tell me what kind of shop you think belongs inside the Elderbark tree. It could be a potion stand, an enchanted forge, a bakery run by forest spirits, whatever you can dream of. Join my Discord, because that's where I'll be doing the giveaway draw and announcing the winner. That's it. Just 2 steps. Comment your shop idea below, join the Discord, and join the giveaway. The winner will be chosen inside the Discord, and who knows, your idea might actually become the next shop I build in the plaza in a future episode. The Sorcery Pack has been an incredible DLC so far. It's packed with such a great mix of clutter, lighting, and detailed fantasy pieces that blend perfectly with everything we've built so far. The orbs, the runes, the bottles, the vines, they've all been game changers for this area. I'm really proud of how this plaza came together, from the storytelling of the Elderbark itself to the rustic facades and cozy lighting, and now to the Rune and Relic shop that wraps it all up. Thank you all so much for watching and for being part of the community. If you enjoyed the build, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the video. It really helps me keep creating bigger and better projects for you all. And of course, don't forget to join the Discord for the giveaway and to hang out with the rest of the community. It's always a fun place to be. That's going to do it for today's episode. I'll see you all in the next one, where we'll keep expanding Unworldly Realm with even more fantasy magic, realism, and storytelling. Take care everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.